And you hear the disappointment in Eric Nadell's voice on your home for Rangers baseball. That is because 3 of 4 was right there, sitting on Jack Leiter's no-hit right arm heading into the 7th inning, and then everything fell apart. Let's talk about the very eventful series and everything else with one of the voices of the Rangers, Jared Sandler, joining us live on Shan and RJ 105.3 The Fan. Good morning. How are you?
What's up, guys?
Did everything turn yesterday with that Chris Martin injury?
Well, I guess I don't like to put on the umps. I'm not putting it on the umps. I think that's the non-strike 3 call to Cam Smith that extended the at bat was a turning point. And then when Chris Martin gets hurt, it just Robert Garcia gets as much time as he needs, but it never feels. I've talked to so many pitchers who have been in that spot, and you've got 40,000 people staring at you while you warm up, and the game is waiting on you. It just, those guys always talk about how, it's really tough to figure out how warm you need to get in that spot, because it's not a normal routine get loose situation. That really was tough. They obviously wanted Chris Martin in that spot. They were going to save Robert Garcia either for later on or maybe go right from Martin to Luke Jackson, depending on how things played out. They had Robert Garcia throw the day before, and he threw well. Unfortunately, he made one pitch to Isaac Paredes that he was able to take advantage of. But that whole 8th inning was it was kind of wonky. It started with 2 blue hits for the Astros. And then, obviously, Paredes hit the home run that just barely got out. And then in the bottom of the 8th, the Rangers had 3 hard outs that all, more often than not going to turn into hits. But, when the Astros have Chas McCormick in left and Jake Myers in center, those are 2 of the better defensive outfielders in Major League Baseball, and they made some big-time plays at a critical part of the game.
Jared, after Leiter gave up the home run to lose the no-hitter, and then he got the very next out on 4 pitch, I thought it was a great at-bat for him, being able to lose the no-no in a home run fashion and then just mentally just get right back to it. What was your thought on bringing him back out for the 8th, that they actually did bring him out?
I didn't have a thought. He had 70-something pitches.
Because he's been ish third time through the order this year, right?
Yeah, but he looked great. I mean, he gave up a home run on a pitch that wasn't even right. I looked. It's like that ball, when swung at in that location, is a home run less than 1% of the time in Major League Baseball over the last 5 years. So, he had allowed 1 hit through 7 innings. I can almost hear Chuck Cooperstein calling you an absolute dummy for asking that question, RJ, right? Like, is that not?
But that's the way the game is now. That's the way the game is.
No, but RJ, no. I'm not saying I feel that way. Because I asked Eric and Matt. We had our post-game roundtable. Like, guys, some people are going to ask, what are your thoughts on bringing Jack Leiter out for the 8th? And Eric kind of gave me a look like, why are you asking that? And I'm asking it because I think fans are asking that question, right? But I agree. I mean, I bring him out. You also are dealing with a bullpen that. You use Chris Martin the night before, you use Robert Garcia, Luke Jackson hadn't yet pitched. If you can get another inning. And here's the deal, too. Again, he gave up 2 blue hits. I mean, if we want to play the numbers, we want to look at stuff. I mean, he gave up weak contact. That's all he can do. He can't control whether that weak contact ends up in a glove or ends up on the grass, right? That's out of his control as a pitcher. But it'd be one thing if he came in there and they were just, they ripped 2 balls in the gap and it's like, oh, yeah, he's lost it, should have pulled the trigger. But that wasn't the case. So I had no issue with it. At the end of the day, they just didn't execute, when Robert Garcia came in there and, in that final at bat, he got the first 2 outs, but, unable to get that third one. And, that's just the way the game goes. But I don't have any issue with Jack Leiter going back out for the 8th, even though obviously the Rangers didn't win the game.
Jared Sandler here on The Fan. How do you handle the no-hitter on air and online?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's your responsibility as a broadcaster to explain what's going on. Now, that doesn't mean you need to every 2 seconds say no-hitter, 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 but maybe once during the inning and when you're going to break or when you're coming back, whatever. I mean, what if someone's tuning in and, they just got in the car? I mean, it's your responsibility to talk about it. Now, you can talk about it in a number of ways. Hey, he is not allowed to hit through 6 innings. Doesn't have to be the phrase no hitter. No, you look at the H column for the Astros and there's a donut. There are a lot of different ways to talk about it. I just, unless someone can provide data or evidence that shows me that my voice from the press box or the broadcast booth or Eric's or Matt's or any other broadcasters impacts the action, then that's not going to change. And the other thing is, I think we all take cues from the late Vin Scully, and Vin Scully, would rip a broadcaster and what if they decided that they felt like they were so a part of it and powerful that their words would jinx an event like a no-hitter. So I kind of take cues from the late Vin Scully.
Jared Sandler joining us here on 105.3 The Fan. Jared, there's obviously been inconsistencies and struggles with the offense throughout the season. Trying to look for ways that it could turn around a little bit. Are you feeling like with the way Jock Peterson's been able to get on base lately and getting the home run over the weekend and seemingly hitting the ball pretty hard lately, do you feel like Jock Peterson's getting closer to being the guy that they thought they were getting when they signed him?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, and the getting on base is a great step in the right direction, but, getting base hits in this game is, and maybe we talked about it a few weeks ago, but getting base hits in this game is as hard as it's ever been. I mean, the league batting average is like 242 this year or something like that. So walks are great, right? I'm a big fan of the walk because I'm a big fan of on base, but we also need some slug. You need some slug to have success. You either need to walk as a team a ton, like you need to be top 5 in the league in walks, or you got to slug. And the Rangers right now are kind of, as they have turned things around the last couple weeks, it's been more slug-based than walk-based. But they are demonstrating more patience. But I want to see more of what we saw from Jock the other night when he hit the ball over the fence. Because, at the end of the day, Jock can get on base. That's good. But, you brought him here to mash the baseball. And the Rangers, obviously, they've gotten Jock going. Now they need to get Marcus Semien going. It's just tough. He's, obviously you want to believe in the person because he works his tail off, but, the results just haven't been there for Marcus. And as the Rangers have gotten things going, to Marcus's credit, you can tell just with his approach, he's making some changes. His patience has improved tremendously. I think he still leads the team in walks. So, he's not chasing. He's not going up there and just, being a free swinger. He is still aggressive and he will still swing at the first pitch, but there's nothing wrong with that. The hitters typically have a lot of success on the first pitch, but they've gotten Jock going in the right direction. Want to see more slug, but they really need to get Marcus Semien going desperately.
Is it just obvious? Do you believe that Chris Young knows and thinks himself that this group is not going to get it done offensively to go along with this amazing starting staff, and that a move is going to have to be made?
Well, he's always said this is a results-oriented business, and at the end of the day, I think in that applies in one way to, hey, it doesn't matter what the names are on the back. I mean, if you're not producing, you're not producing, and now that means something different for everyone, right? If Ezekiel Duran's not producing after a few weeks, that's going to be a little bit treated a little bit differently than if Marcus Semien isn't producing after a month and a half, and there are business reasons as to why, there's track record reasons as to why, but at the end of the day, I think Chris Young right now, if the trade deadline was approaching at the end of this month, then I think you would see them try to get a bat or two, or someone that's going to try and change the calculus of this lineup. There's no doubt about it. Now there is the financial component, because if ownership is firm on staying below the first luxury tax apron, then anyone that they acquire in a trade, they've got to make sure that financially they're still in a position to do that, to stay below, if that is a mandate. Now, if they're willing to go above that first apron, all right, that could change things a little bit. So there are some obstacles, in place financially. Doesn't mean that there aren't guys out there who are cheap, or maybe some money that can be exchanged, but that is one challenge. It's not that the Rangers don't have the the resources to make acquisitions. It's just a matter of, what is the money mandate for this front office? What are they not allowed to do from a financial standpoint in trying to add talent to this roster?
Jared, Boone told us that he's just observing, to start. Fans love to point to maybe a change that he has brought. Is there? I mean, it's hard to quantify. It's only been a handful of games, but has there been anything that you've noticed that's been different with the offense since he's come over? Yeah,
it's tough to know. You're right, RJ. I mean, I do think he's having conversations with guys, and I think that there is a mental component. I think there is when you've got a coach, and a coach with his track record. Maybe that means something. Maybe the track record doesn't. But he is in the position of coach, right? So in theory, players are going to listen to him. And when things have not been going well, I think players are more inclined to listen to a new voice. And so he has a great opportunity here the first few weeks to establish whatever is most important to him. And it just seems like, and you guys have talked to him, for the last few years, but the mental side is big, right? There's an understanding that, players are different physically, one guy to the next, but I just get the sense that he really wants to simplify things for these guys, and, have them go to the plate with, their mind filled with the right things and not, trying to pass a math test. And it's not that the prep isn't important and the data is not important and understanding the numbers is not important. It is, but I mean, you go up in the box against, we've talked about stepping into the arena, right? And it's, kind of like a gladiator battle, and just it's you versus the other guy. You don't have time to think. Right? You don't have time to think when there's 98 coming your way or an 87-mile-an-hour slider, and a guy that also maybe has a third pitch that's in the, in the mid to high 70s range. I mean, it's the tools, the weapons that these pitchers have these days, it's harder than ever. And so I think he's, in talking to some guys, he's done a great job of just simplifying things. Now, the Rangers, since Bret Boone's arrival, have started to hit the home run ball as well as anyone in Major League Baseball. Is that because of Bret Boone, or is that just because there's a regression to the mean for a lineup full of big boppers who just were not hitting the ball over the fence? That's tough to say. But at the end of the day, I do think that his approach in combination with some of the work the other hitting coaches who are still on staff are doing kind of come together and build this complete pie that hopefully will result in much more consistent success offensively. Because Bobby asked it earlier about the offense, and things are starting to turn, but it's still not where you think that this group can be, and they've got to get there if they want to. Maybe not win the division, because this does not seem to be a division that's going to have anyone run away with it up to now. But if they want to do what they did in 2023, this offense has got to get a lot better.
We got a minute left. Why are you fighting with Astro fans?
Well, I mean, first of all, rivalries are fun, right? Sports are fun. And so would I do it if it was like a Rockies person? No. I mean, there's not a rivalry. They suck. Like, it's not. But this is fun. And, Brian McTaggart is one of these beat writers who, plays the beat writer body armor. Like, oh, I'm not a fan. I'm a beat writer. Oh, shut up, dude. I mean, you clearly get paid for impressions, which good for you. There's nothing wrong with that. But to identify that there were Astros let's go Astros chants, nothing wrong with that either. But to say it Dyken North, it's just one of my biggest issues with Astros fans and Astros writers, I guess. Baseball existed before 2017 when the Astros began this unbelievable run. And I just remember, I said this on the postgame show, but I remember going to a couple games at Minute Maid Park where there was there weren't Astros fans there. And it's funny the way that Astros fans feel like they invented baseball in 2017. It's not. There was no baseball in the 1800s. There was no baseball in the 1900s. Baseball started in 2017. So you're on this. You have this incredible dynasty, and you travel well. That's what happens when you win. And they've been unbelievable since 2017. Right? No one's doubting that. But the Rangers did go down to Houston and kick their ass in 2023. The Astros didn't win a single game at home in that 7-game series. Now, the Rangers didn't win a game at home either. But, that happened. Let's not forget about that. And let's not forget about what existed 15 years ago when the Astros didn't even have fans. And that's that's going to change, right? Their dynasty is not going to extend. They're not going to win the division this year. You can save this. You can roast me if they win the division on, September 30th or October 1st or whatever, but they're not going to win the division. They're not that good of a team, and that's part of why it's so frustrating the Rangers didn't take 3 or 4, because they swept a really crappy team in the Rockies. They had a chance to take 3 or 4 from a very average team in the Astros, and they gave that away.
Thank you, brother. Have a good trip to New York.
See you guys.
Jared Sandler here on 105 through the Fan.